Well, today we're starting in on Kripke on the causal theory of reference. Kripke's writing about this is probably the single most influential piece of philosophy since the war. I mean, the Second World War. Is that right? Yes, yeah. Yeah, there isn't anything that's clearly been more influential. But I want to move in fairly gently to Kripke. I want to begin by reminding us where we were at the end of Monday's cliffhanger. So Frege said, the sign sense may be the common property of many, and therefore is not a part or mode of the individual mind. For one can hardly deny that mankind has a common store of thoughts which is transmitted from one generation to another. I mean, basically, communication is possible. That has to be a datum in thinking about the theory of meaning. And where we left Russell last time, on a somewhat dramatic note, was trapped behind a barricade, a barrier of sense data, with no way of getting out to connecting to other people. He could hypothesize that there are ordinary concrete objects out there. He can hypothesize that there are other people out there, maybe in a similar plight to himself. But that's it. He is stuck. And if he's right, then that's not just his condition, it's your condition. We are all stuck, trapped, able to think and talk ultimately only about our own sense data, and everything else we say and think has to be interpreted in terms of that. And at this point, Frege can say, well, this is exactly what I was saying to you. If you're not very careful, you will wind up in this situation. And that was the point about the telescope, that Frege has this distinction between the object that is being referred to, the sense, which is like the image in the mirror in the telescope, and the retinal pattern on the individual observer. He said the meaning has to be like the image in the glass in the telescope, which is objective, the same for everyone. It's only if you have the meaning as objective that you can have communication. If you think of the meaning as something like the hit in the retina, then you make communication impossible. And for Russell, what happens? Well, here is an analogy. This might seem a little bit left field, but if you can bear with me through this, then I think it helps getting Russell's picture. Suppose you think about how it goes for arithmetic, talking about the numbers. We have lots of different ways of specifying numbers. You can have how many terms, you can have definite descriptions for numbers. So if you say the number of the planets, well, that's a definite description, the number of the planets, right? Like the author of Waverley or the King of France or whatever. The number of the planets, that's a definite description, right? And the number of moons in the solar system, is that a definite description? The number of moons in the solar system? Yes, you can tell by the right? Okay, and this makes perfect sense. The number of the planets plus the number of moons in the solar system is a prime number. That makes perfect sense too. I don't have no idea if it's true, but it makes perfect sense, right? Or you can say every even number is the sum of two primes. Now, if Russell's line is right, when you take this, the number of the planets plus the number of moons in the solar system, have you at any point named a number? No, because the phrases are not names. They are quantified expressions. They are how many expressions. That's all right? This says there's exactly one number that's the number of the planets, and that number plus, well, there's exactly one number that's the number of moons in the solar system, and the first number plus the second number, that gives you a prime number. I haven't put that very colloquially, but you see what I mean. Yeah? So that's all right? There's no names, there's a couple of how many expressions. And Russell's point is, when you've got expressions like that, they depend on a more basic way of thinking about the numbers, and that's given by the numerals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you're learning arithmetic, when you're trying to teach a child arithmetic, you could not do it. It would be very ill-advised to do it not by counting, but by giving them terms like this. And you can explain what is a prime number means by telling a child, well, for example, the number of planets plus the number of moons in the solar system, that's a prime number. If the child didn't have the numerals, you couldn't explain any other kind of talk about numbers to them. This is such a basic point, I'm not sure whether to labour it or not, or if I go too fast, I might make it totally incomprehensible. Can you just nod or raise a finger if that makes perfect sense? You couldn't do it without the numerals. Yeah? Okay, thank you. Right. Well, what that means is that the numerals are a kind of basic or canonical way of thinking about the numbers. And any fancier way of thinking about the numbers, like as the number of the planets or the number of moons in the solar system, any more complex way of thinking about the numbers depends on this ground level way of thinking about each of them as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever. And Russell's point about our talk about the concrete world, about the people in the tables and chairs and so on, about the world revealed to us by the senses, is that there has to be some analogue of the numerals. There's got to be the basic class of names for all those things that we're talking about. And that can't be explained in terms of descriptions or anything else. It's where language first gets going. It's the most basic kind of language there is. And his term for a kind of relation you have to stand in to the referent of a simple name to be able to talk or think about it is acquaintance. So that's not to define acquaintance or say what it is, it's just some kind of encounter with the thing is what you need to be able to talk or think about it. Is that all right? So this needs much more discussion, but just the basic picture here, is that fairly straightforward? If I'm explaining it correctly, it should be fairly straightforward, so please stop me if it's not. Okay? And then you face these problems, these Fregean problems, about, in terms of your basic class of names, how can you have informative identities in terms of your basic class of names? How could you have it being true that if this is one of your basic names and that is one of your basic names, how could you have an informative identity? This is that. How could you have meaning without reference? How could you have the possibility of saying truly, this does not exist? And Russell says the only way you can solve these problems without appealing to sense is to suppose that this and that, your basic names, are all talking about sensations or sense data. Because at the level of sensations or sense data, of your own sensations or sense data, you can't have meaning without reference. If you're talking about this headache, there's going to be a headache there for you to be referring to, for you to know which thing you mean. And if you're talking about this headache, there is going to be no informative identity about it. That's true. With a concrete object, you can come at it from many angles. With something in your own inner life, there's no such thing as coming upon it from many angles. So you don't get this problem of informative identities. And if you feel to you like something is in your inner life, then it just is in your inner life. So you don't get the problem that it can seem to you for all the world as if there is such a thing, but it's not really there. So to solve these problems of informativeness and meaning without reference, without appealing to sense or the idea of a definite description, which belongs to a more sophisticated part of language, Russell's driven to saying that ultimately all you're ever talking about are your own sensations. But that's to be trapped. Okay? We're now going to move to another part of the forest, but are there any questions about Russell's plight? or Russell's insights. You might think that's the human condition. Right? I mean, I think Russell did think that's just it. That's the human condition. That's why love is so important, because it seems falsely to offer us a way out of our loneliness, trapped behind our sense data. Okay. Okay. Well, Kripke's approach, ultimately, though I won't really come on to this until next time, this is what I mean about moving to different parts of the forest. Kripke's approach ultimately seems to offer a quite different kind of take. Kripke's approach is consistent with saying there's a basic class of names in terms of which everything else is understood, but he's a quite different picture to how that basic class of names is going to work, what it's going to look like, than Russell does. And I just want to take quite a bit of time to shape up that picture. So I want to start out today by trying to explain what I think is the most difficult idea to get in naming a necessity, if you haven't read this before, which is rigid designation. The idea that ordinary proper names are rigid designators. And here, I said at the start, it's good to keep flipping back and forth between doing the reading, listening to the lecture, doing the reading, going to section, listening to doing the reading again. Keep coming back to the reading, yeah? Because I'm not really going to comprehensively cover all that Kripke says. I will try to cover what I think are the main and the hardest points. Okay? But it really will work best if you go back and forth. Okay, so I want to make a distinction between two kinds of possibility. One has to do with knowledge, one has to do with what's going on out there in the world, independently of whether anyone knows about it. So, two kinds of possibility. One relates to your current knowledge, the other relates to how things are in themselves. For example, suppose I come in to class a bit shaky and say to you indignantly, you nearly knocked me off my bike, sweeping up in your fancy car. Now, you could easily knock me off my bike. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying, for all I know, you did knock me off my bike. Right? I mean, if I've been having a hard morning, then I might say that in some context, but really that would be unusual. What I'm saying is, I know perfectly well you didn't, but you could have easily. You nearly did. Right? So there's that possibility that you knocked me off my bike. And you might say, no. I was miles away from you. You were just visibly a bag of nerves. I couldn't easily have knocked you off your bike. You could even have a row about what an easy possibility here. And this might get really serious. What I mean is, I could sue you, yeah, for not taking due care. Watch out. But this has to do with possibilities. Right? What I'm saying is, we do in ordinary life, take this kind of possibility. It doesn't have to do with what you know to be true. It has to do with out there in the real world, what could easily have happened and what couldn't easily have happened. If you say about a nuclear reactor, if you say, look, the 3 Mile Island reactor was only a hair away from causing thousands of deaths back in the 70s. Well, that makes perfect sense. It might be true and it might not. It could easily have happened. Or you might argue, no, that couldn't easily have happened. So what I'm saying is, this kind of possibility doesn't have to do with what might be so, given your current knowledge. In contrast, suppose that you've got a murder investigation going on, and you have the wise old chief inspector looking at the list of suspects and pointing to one and saying, he could be our man. That's to say, what you mean there is, for all we know, that's the one that did it. So this is a kind of possibility that does have to do with knowledge. Yeah, follow me very closely. I mean, suppose at the moment you think to yourself, by God, if only I had bunked off this class, I could be on a beach in Marin right at the second. If you have that terrible thought, then it's not that you're thinking to yourself, well, for all I know, maybe I am actually on a beach in Marin at the moment, and this is all just a wonderful dream. You see what I mean? If you think I could be, right, so that's kind of possibility that does not have to do with knowledge. But this kind of possibility, he could be our man. That's saying, maybe he actually is the guy who did it. Yeah? And you can have that with that example too. If when you woke up, you were blindfolded and shoved in a car trunk, then you might say, well, where am I? Then at that point, you might say, well, optimistically, maybe I'm on a beach in Marin. You see what I mean? What you mean there is like this. It means for all I know, maybe that's what's going on. So these are two different kinds of possibility. That he could be our man, that would typically have to do with what might be so, given your current knowledge. Whereas when you're talking about negligence or safety or risk, there you're talking about not with what happens so far as you know, but with metaphysical possibility. When I say that thing about the reactor could easily have exploded, it was negligent of people not to take better care of it. Or when I say you weren't really looking where you were going, you could have killed me, I'm saying that's to do with metaphysical possibility. Okay? I mean, these two have different kinds of emotions associated with them. Take fear or apprehension or hope. I mean, fear has to do with stuff that, for all you know, it could still happen. These are very emotional, these things. I might sound like some very technical stuff, but your whole emotional life is all about this kind of thing. If you're hoping for something to happen, that means you don't know whether it's happened or not, but it's still possible that it might happen, for all you know. Whereas regret, relief, anger, and wistfulness, they all have to do not with epistemic possibility, but with metaphysical possibility. If I say, if only I'd married Jane, then everything would have been all right. Well, that kind of wild cry of regret has to do with, it's not that I think, oh, maybe I did marry Jane. Who am I married? That's not what's going on. What you're saying is, there's a past possible world in which I do marry Jane, and then that one everything turns out all right. And similarly for relief, if you think, oh, thank God I didn't marry Jane, then what you're thinking is, over there's that possible world in which I do marry Jane, and then everything turns out some other way. Okay, so is that plain as day? Two kinds of possibility, epistemic, metaphysical. What can be plainer than that? Okay? It's important to get straight about this because for present purposes in this course, we're largely not going to talk about epistemic possibility, except for some very special cases. We're going to focus on metaphysical possibility, but it's important not to get them muddled up. So here's some new friends. These are all the metaphysically possible worlds. As you can see, there are a lot of possible worlds, and this is only really a small fraction. Actually, there are probably infinitely many possible worlds. Yes? And look, here's us. Here's the actual world. Here's the world in which you didn't come to this class, but you bunked off and did something else. As you can see, some of them are closer to the actual world than others. Right? So the world in which you bunked off and didn't come to this class, that may be very far away. You might say, nothing on earth will stop me coming to this class. Right? On the other hand, you might think, God, it's touch and go. At UC Santa Barbara, when you go into the philosophy department, when you're driving on campus to the philosophy department, you come to a fork in the road, and one sign says philosophy department, and the other sign says to the beach. Every morning you have to make that choice. Anyway. Okay, so these new friends are just to make graphic. Right? So necessary will mean something like true in every one of them. If you get 2 plus 2 is 4, then that will mean something like it's true in every possible world. Yep. And that has nothing to do with what you know. If you take some complex mathematical thing, you might think, well, we don't know whether that's true or not. You might be part of a team of mathematicians working on whether it's true or not. And you say, I'm terribly afraid this is going to turn out that it's not true, which will be such a disappointment. Yeah, for all we know, it could still turn out not to be true. That's consistent with saying that if it is true, it's metaphysically necessary that it's true. Okay? No, you don't get that. Okay, suppose I take some complex mathematical formula, like, okay? It's very complicated. Don't worry if you don't understand it all first. Okay, so it's a very complex formula, right? You're part of a team, you're trying to prove that this is true. Yes? If this is true, let's suppose it's a very hard sum. Right? Let's suppose it's a really complicated long multiplication. Right? Okay? So we have a team, and we're working on this, right? Now it's very hard to get this. And you don't know that you're hoping it's going to be an even number, for reasons we won't go into, right? But you wake up in the night thinking, God, maybe it's not an even number. And that's epistemic, right? For all you know, it's not an even number. But if it is an even number, if the answer here is equals true, right? If the answer here is, if that whole thing is true, then is it true in every possible world? Yes, it's true in every possible world. How could it not be true? How could it not be true in every possible world? If it's a mathematical truth, it's a mathematical truth, then every possible world have to obey the laws of mathematics. Yes? If 2 plus 2 is 4, that's true in every possible world. So you might say, well, I don't know if this is true or not, it could turn out to be false. Nonetheless, it's metaphysically necessary, it's true in every possible world. Okay, you got that last thing, you got everything that he's saying. Yep? Yes. So all this talk about possibility, so this is a little bit weird when I talk about possible worlds, right? It's not very weird, but still you kind of get what I'm saying, but it's a little bit weird, yeah? And the thing in real life that this corresponds to is talking about counterfactuals. There's a possible world, when I say there's a possible world in which you knock me off my back, what I'm saying is, if you had come just a little bit closer, or if I hadn't swerved like that, you would have knocked me off my back, yeah? So all this talk about possibilities to say, if I were in this situation, then that would happen, yeah? So it's all about counterfactuals. I'll come on to that in a second, actually. Okay, plain as day? Okay. Okay, so necessary is true in all metaphysically possible worlds. What about a priori? Can you explain a priori in these terms? A priori means something like, what does a priori mean? You can know it to be true without looking, right? So in the face of it, you might think a priori, if it's metaphysically necessary, then you can know it's true without looking. Because you have to look in order to see which possible world you're in, right? For all you know, when you're born, you could be in any of those worlds, and it's looking that tells you, oh, this one is A, this one is the actual world. But if it's true in all possible worlds, why would you need to look? Yep. Yes, it does. A priori is a notion of knowledge, yeah. So you might think a priori means epistemically necessary, something like that. Yeah. It's a little bit delicate because the way we talk about what must be so epistemically is like in a murder investigation. If you say, he must be our man, that doesn't mean to say priori. Yeah. It means, given the knowledge we have, it couldn't but be that he's our man. Yeah. It's a little bit delicate what a priori has to do with epistemic possibility, but it is an epistemic notion. And that's why this is a little bit tricky. And like, yeah. But you see that straight off, it seems like a priori must have something to do with what's metaphysically possible. Because suppose there's one metaphysically possible world in which it's not so, then how can you know without looking that you're not in that world? That seems kind of strange. You see what I mean? If there's one possible world which is not so, then you need to look to see whether it is so, because you might be in that world, but you don't know until you look. You don't be quite so happy about that, but reasonably happy. Yeah?
Sorry, are you suggesting that a priori, everything over a priori is necessary to the concept?
I was suggesting both. Yes. I mean, in the end, we'll see that that's... what I mean is right now, when you think about it straight off, it seems kind of reasonable to suppose that we're going to come to the same thing. Yeah. Even though, as was pointed out, they're defined in quite different ways. And until Kripke, I think everybody did think they came to pretty much the same thing. If you look at Searle, he seems to be taking for granted that it's pretty much the same thing. A priori necessary is something that Searle says a number of times. Yeah. And the way he's using it seems like it's kind of methodical. Yeah. Okay? Okay, now what happens now is that we blow up the description theory of names from a somewhat different direction. So start out thinking about counterfactual terms, like if Germany had won the Second World War, or if Al Gore had been the president, to take both very poignant examples, if Al Gore had been the president of the US in 2001, yeah, then we wouldn't have had all this nonsense. Say, if Germany had won the Second World War, then think of all the scientists and academics that would now be driving Germany. Okay, so you can understand both of these. These make sense in terms of possible worlds, right? So here you're looking at these possible worlds of which Germany, did I say one? Okay, Germany won the Second World War. Then that's not okay. It doesn't matter. Then what you're looking at is some possible world in which Germany wins the Second World War, or some possible world in which Al Gore's president in 2001. So these have to do with metaphysical possibility. They don't have to do with epistemic possibility. I mean, people write books about this scenario, and they're not suggesting that well maybe Germany did win the Second World War. Right?